Let's talk about the DAS Audio Event 210A line array cabinet. So we own 12 of these boxes. We originally purchased 8 and then we purchased 4 more to kind of build out the system a little bit more. But the initial purchase of 8 was to replace our QSC KLA12 constant curvature system. For those of you that aren't familiar with that, it's a constant curvature array, and while you can hang 5 boxes max, if you hang 5 and the first one's shooting straight out, each box is 18 degrees. So the 5th box is actually pointing straight at the ground because it makes a 90-degree curve. So scalability is somewhat limited. So we went up to 4 boxes, and that was about the max I was willing to do. Once we hit that point and we started doing shows that were, just outsized for that system, I knew it was time to start looking for, a more traditional line array system that had greater scalability. And I was kind of looking between doing a single 12 and, 1 or 2 compression drivers, or something like a dual 10, maybe a dual 8. And I ended up veering more towards the dual 10 just because I like the idea of having symmetry, 2 10s on the sides with a compression driver in the middle. And that kind of led me down the path of mostly looking between the RCF HDL20 and the Event 210A. I also did look at like the Event 208A, I believe the model number is, but I really wanted the output of the 10s. It just, I don't remember the output of the 8s. This puts out 134 dB per cabinet. I believe the dual 8 cabinet is more in the upper 120s, 128, 129, somewhere around there. Don't quote me on that, I'm just kind of spitballing, but I don't even think it's up to the 130 mark. So not only did I want scalability, but I kind of wanted greater sound per cabinet. And the KLA, I believe, KLA12 is rated at 131 dB per cabinet. So going up to 134, I was getting an extra 3 dB per cabinet, plus just the scalability of being able to hang more cabinets and keep them in a straighter array. When you use ease focus, you can kind of analyze the sound output based on the curve, see what your throw is going to be. There's a lot more that goes into hanging a system like this, but you wind up getting way more out of it the more boxes you have. By going through the ease focus software, I've really noticed when you go from 4 to 6 boxes, there's a huge difference in sound output. Even going from 6 to 8 boxes, there's a huge sound output difference. Once you get beyond 8, as you add on more and more boxes, the output level isn't quite as great. So I don't know if I ever would, try to expand this thing up to 16 boxes. I would maybe expand it up to 8 per side. Possibly buy an extra rack to have the same for front fill, or possibly just wind up doing 10 per side if depending upon the situation. But I don't know if I'd ever expand it beyond that, just because at that point you're getting a lot of these boxes, and the output, the extra output you get by adding the extra boxes just isn't great enough. I don't think the return on investment's quite there. But going back to this versus the RCF. The RCF is a 2-way box. This was a 3-way box. So that was one of the things that was steering me towards the DAS box. Price was another. It is a cheaper box. But I shouldn't say cheaper. Less expensive. Let's put it that way. Because this box really is designed and built very well. It's solid wood construction, where with the RCF you get plastic. And if you've watched my other videos, you will know I'm not a huge fan of plastic cabinets. I really do prefer wood. I think, the extra weight that you get with a wood cabinet is kind of worth the sound quality improvement in my book. So that was kind of what sealed the deal. A good price, solid wood construction, and only 1 dB of output difference between the Event 210A and the HDL 20A. I believe the RCF is rated at 135, so you get 1 extra dB with that, but I figured that would be such a minuscule difference I probably wouldn't even be able to tell the difference. Now, my thoughts on this. I'm very happy with this. Sound quality wise, we have not gotten a single complaint. Every touring sound guy that uses this box comments on how he barely has to EQ it. When DAS built this box, whatever DSP tuning and stuff they have inside of here is very good. You really don't have to do much to this box. If you are in a smaller venue and you're using this and it's kind of oversized for the venue, I find that, like in a bar setting, if I bring this in, I push the downfill preset in. Otherwise, if you don't really have to do the throw, you know, for like an outdoor event, having the downfill preset helps kind of tone the highs down just a little bit, especially if your core audience is within, you know, 75 feet of the speakers. So it might be a little overkill for smaller venues, but it's still nice to use them because they do sound good. Now, I personally have no complaints with this system. I think it sounds good. You can roll 4 to a rack. The rigging system is really nice and easy. So I personally have no complaints with this sound quality wise, build construction wise. I would definitely recommend this line array cabinet to anyone looking for a line array, just based on price and sound quality. And I would just like to say, I have had people on stage say that I should turn the system up because it doesn't sound loud. This speaker system projects very well. You know, all the sound is going straight out. When you're behind this system, it is actually fairly quiet. I've actually used this to DJ a few times, and it's interesting because of how quiet it is behind it. Sometimes I can't tell how loud I'm talking on the mic. But that's one of the things I really like about this system, is that it doesn't wash a bunch of sound onto the stage. It keeps the sound projecting forward and obviously lets your monitors do their job. I should say I have gotten one universal complaint about this box, which, you know, I find I wind up arguing with people about this point all the time, but if you've asked this question or looked on Facebook message boards, the #1 complaint that you will hear about this box is it's just not loud enough. And here's where I like to throw my 2 cents in. It's not that the box isn't loud enough, it's that some touring guys I don't think know how to adequately use this box, because every touring guy that we've ran into that have said, your system's not loud enough, like I need more output, you know, they're not even close to limiting this. So I think one of the, I'll call it an issue with this box, is that the input gain is low. And I don't know how touring sound guys set their board structure up, you know, set their gain structure up inside of the board, but everybody that I've ever seen use this box with a Midas Pro 2 mixer has complained that they are peaking out their mixer and they're just not getting the sound output that they want from the boxes. But then we go around and look, and you know, there's no limit light on. They're not even close to limiting them. They're probably only running the boxes at about 60% of their capacity. So what we've wound up doing to alleviate that issue, and I don't know if it's just an issue with the Midas Pro 2, that's really the only board we've ever ran into that issue with. You know, we use a Midas M32 and have never had a problem with bringing these boxes up to full volume. But I've had numerous sound techs with Midas Pro 2s that just are unable to get these boxes as loud as they can go. But recently what we've done is, you know, these are processed really good by themselves, so we started out not even using a drive rack with them. But we did put a drive rack in the signal chain now. And really the only thing that we use the drive rack for is the crossover. These top boxes do not have a built-in crossover, so just to make sure touring sound techs are crossing them over, we always tell them to make sure they have a crossover when they're you know, setting up the system on their board. But just to kind of make sure it gets done, we started using a crossover and a drive rack. The matching subs have a crossover, but we still throw a crossover on them as well. But inside of the crossover, to alleviate this sound issue when anybody uses a Midas Pro 2, is within the crossover we bump the gain up, like 6 dB roughly. And that seems to give people enough output out of the speakers to make everybody happy. And you know, there is no, you know, if you're used to regular powered speakers, you'll know there's a gain knob on the back and you can just turn them up. These do not have a gain knob on the back, so there is no turning them up. Somehow you need to get it a hotter signal, and through a drive rack we just bump up the signal a few dB, and it does allow us to control the input. We don't let touring sound guys get their hands on it because I don't want them to go plus 15 and throw these things into the red. But plus 6, maybe plus 8, depending upon how hot they're running their board, really seems like it gives these things the input signal that they need to go full power. As the owner of the speakers, I will say this: I am actually pretty happy that DAS made the input signal kind of lower like they did. I would rather have these boxes harder to limit than super easy to shove right into the limiters. You know, anybody that's worked with touring sound guys, they don't care one way or the other how hard they run your system. So I would rather have a system that has a lower gain input and is harder to limit than a system where they can just shove it right into the red and blow your system if they feel like it. So I do like having the lower gain on the boxes. We throw a drive rack in the mix just to bump up the gain if we feel it's necessary, and it seems like everybody's happy at the end of the day. So final thoughts on this box. You know, I don't really have too much to say about it beyond that. It's a really nice line array cabinet, solid build construction. I haven't had any problems with them and they sound great. 100% recommend this cabinet. If you have any questions, feel free to throw it down in the comments section. I will point out one thing that I think is kind of interesting. Just before I go here. I always find it interesting, I'm going to get a little closer to the camera, that this little pin here, 2 of these, just tiny little pin, that's what the entire weight of the line array is hung by when you have the system hanging. So when you think about it, each box is about 70 pounds, and you can hang 16 of them just from those 2 little pins. I always find that interesting. I'm sure somebody engineered it for safety, so probably good to go, but I just thought I'd point out how small those pins are. If you have any questions, throw it down in the comments section. Until next time, have a good day.